Keep them eyeballs off the deck.
My grandma used to wonder, look into the clouds, Lord, take me there.
Straight ahead.
Lord, take me there, take me there. My grandma used to wonder,
1,000-yard stare.
look into the clouds, Lord, take me there.
She always told me, she always told me, she always told me, she always told me, keep my head up, can't ignore this, don't look back, it's a struggle, got love to overcome, no doubt rise above, from the under, lots of thunder, lots of rain, you the change in the sunshine, be brave, what she asks, be sane, what she prayed, break chains, be the boss, Rick Ross, Marvin Gaye ballads, speak volumes, what's going on, what's going on, stand strong, never been, never judged the sin, learn, competence, get hit like wolves, locked on the ends, friends, how many of us have them, ones we can depend on, ones we can depend on.
Used to wonder, look into the clouds, Lord, take me there, take me there. Lord, take me there, take me there. My grandma used to wonder, look into the clouds, Lord, take me there, take me there. Lord, take me there, take me there.
Long kiss goodnight, Bermuda knife, push forward, thick backs ride at night. She told me stay protected, even warned me moles infected, so choose wise. She said time flies when you're having fun, always try, best bet shaking, bacon roll, head crack, bill stacks mountain high, for the seeds left behind when you rest, leave them blessed, give them breath so they can breathe with ease, no stress, accept that test of life at all, not troubles made by man, laws that govern land tend to keep us down. She said uplift now, as she closed her eyes, as she closed her eyes, as she closed her eyes, no fear, as she closed her
Grandma
eyes.
used to wonder, look into the clouds, Lord, take me there, take me there. Lord, take me there, take me there. My grandma used to wonder, look into the clouds, Lord, take me there, take me there. Lord, take me there, take me there.
Hey yo, what's poppin', B? This your boy Nino, man. You already know I'm tapped in with tapioca. It's lit in here. You high?
All right, welcome to Tap In Tuesdays, where we discuss real music, the artist, and the music business. So if you're into that type of talk, make sure that you like and subscribe. This episode of Tap In Tuesdays is brought to you by our sponsor, Tapioca, the next innovation in music distribution. All right, so we got some exciting topics today. One of the topics we will be talking about is Ryan Leslie. Yes, the producer from Bad Boy Records. Um, really smart guy. Yeah, I think you're gonna like some of the stuff that he's talking about. We're not talking to him, but we're gonna bring you back a clip because you're gonna see in this clip that Ryan is like way ahead of his time, and he's gonna talk about how he made $1.6 million off of 40,000 fans. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Another thing we're going to talk about is Vince Staples, as he talks about how the collapse of the music industry is affecting Black artists and independent artists. And lastly, we're going to talk about how Spotify is getting sued by the MLC. Wow, that's crazy. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Spotify was upset with Apple Music because of unfair practices. And this week we're talking about we're talking about Apple, Spotify being sued now by the MLC. And we're going to explain what the MLC is and all of that stuff in just a few seconds. Just waiting for my co-host, Felicia Palmer. If I didn't introduce myself already, my name is Stephen Samuel, and I'm your host for this evening. All right. Okay, here we go.
Hello?
Yes, what is up?
What's poppin', yo? I'm eating my dinner and I hear y'all got some talking happening. So I'm getting in on the talk.
Yes. We have the talk, and not that kind of talk, but we do have the talk going on. And it's going to be interesting, you know. I just was telling everybody what the topics were of the day. And the first person I want to talk about is Ryan Leslie. Now, just to give everybody a quick summarization, in this clip right here, we're going to be talking about how Ryan Leslie earned $1.6 million from his 40,000 invested fans. I really had to stop because it was just that much for me to say.
Okay. So I just want to say who I am because you didn't even introduce me properly.
Oh, that's right. So this is my co-host, Felicia Palmer. She is the CTO of So.com. I mean, she's the CEO of So.com as well as Tapioca.
What up, people? Listen, Let's get into it. Just want to make sure you're going to put my name on a thing or something, you know, people know when they come in.
Oh, yeah. You know what it is? It is our normal producer is not here today. So, you know.
Big Fee, you know.
Big Fee, you know. All right.
All right, so let's get into it. We're talking about Ryan Leslie. He got 40,000 fans. He made $1.6 million on 40,000 fans. That's what I'm talking about. All of this, you know, we got to get direct.
Now, let me just say, we're not talking about Diddy or we're not talking about Cassie. We are talking about the music business. We're not talking about none of that other stuff. You go to them ragtags if you want to talk about that. So let me play this clip of Ryan Leslie. And this clip, let me let everybody know, this clip was from 2019. So this is the year before COVID. And Ryan Leslie is going to really break down some stuff for you. So check this out.
Knew your name. Everybody knew who you were.
And I think everyone knew who I was based on the fact that I had a record with Cassie. Mm-hmm. Cassie was really the big record. That was top 10 in 8 countries. You know what I mean?
Was that Me and You?
Me and You. Me and You. Massive record for me. And so people knew that I wrote and produced that entire album. So in the music industry, when you have a producer that writes and produces 100% album and one of those records goes all the way, then people definitely going to know your name because they want to collaborate with you, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that I think Cassie was really the precursor and the foreshadowing that the internet was going to change the way that music was discovered and distributed. Cassie was a MySpace artist. So we put our music on MySpace. We, myself and my partner, Rashid Richmond, came up with a Google hack. So everyone who searched MySpace, the keyword, would end up on her MySpace music profile. And she went from 0 to 650,000 friends in 3 months. Sometimes that happens, and I think we've been looking at that happening potentially on social media now and Instagram. Somebody does something viral, and then they get a bunch of followers. What we realized, though, is that MySpace just disappeared, and we didn't have phone numbers on all those people. So 650,000 friends. She also was the first artist in history to have a 1-to-1 correlation between social following and sales. 650,000 albums sold and 650,000 friends.
That never happens.
Wow.
That never happens.
Yeah, that definitely don't happen. Now, these people be having 16 million
people
followers.
People be so mad.
Twitter.
They're like, I have all these followers. How come they didn't go out and buy my record?
That would be great if they had a 1-to-1. So I think getting back to the numbers, if you think about royalties on records, right? And I had a pretty standard record contract, which is like a 20%, which actually is pretty, that's actually a nice record contract, 20%, right? 20%. Even if it was $10 a record times 180,000 records, that's 1.8 million. 20% of that, you could do the math. It's like 300,000, right? And then and then basically you take some taxes out of that, like, and they had already given me an advance. So I made no money on those 3 records, right? And it was great because obviously I have publishing. I wrote and produced everything, so my money's happening in publishing.
Most people don't have that.
Yeah, but in terms of record royalties, it's a couple 100,000, right? So when I actually sold my record directly, no middleman, I sold my tickets directly, no middleman, 15,000 records times $10, that's 150,000 and went straight to my pocket. And then the beauty of actually knowing every single person who bought my record means that when I went on tour, I could send a text to them.
I'm in your city.
Right? I'm in your city. Nobody goes to concerts alone. And also concert tickets cost 4 times as much as the album. Right. So my concert ticket for my show is $40. So $40 times 40,000 tickets that we sold in Europe behind that album is the Less is More album that I did, 40,000 tickets. Less is More, Black Mozart, MZRT albums. That's $1.6 million. I mean, the math is totally crazy, and I don't need to go platinum. I don't need 500,000 people. I need 40,000 people.
What about bundling? Did you do merchandise? Did you do like album bundling and merchandising and all of that along with it?
Yeah. And the beauty is once you actually have someone texting you that says, "Hey, I'm interested in merch," then you automatically can target them to give them anytime you have a merch drop.
Right.
And you're
All right. So he was talking about, he did some math for all us mathematicians out here. He talked about how when he first had a record deal, he made, it was a 20% deal, which you said at that time was a good deal, right? 20% on $1. But even with that, with recoupment, he wasn't making any money on record sales.
Correct.
And thank God he was a writer and he was getting publishing on, other stuff, but he really was not making money, which is the same situation that artists are in today. They're not making money on record sales. That's been a problem.
But now it's even worse though, right? Because at least then they were selling records. Now they're not selling records. So now you're splitting that 0.003 cents.
Right. So this is the thing. So he was making less than he was having to recoup after he made the 20%. He wasn't making any money on that. And he then talked about having 40,000 fans who he had direct relationships with and being able to sell them a $40 ticket to his concert and being able to make $1.6 million selling direct to fan.
Correct. So I think there's a lot of things that really, you have to give him. And I don't want to give him full credit because I think Soulja Boy might say that he was the first. But and I don't want Soulja Boy to be upset with me. But I will say that if that was the case, he was very smart to get that one-on-one connection, right? Because I tell people this all the time. There are people that are on Instagram right now with like 7.5 million followers. If you just had 10% of those people, you wouldn't be grinding as hard. If Instagram was to shut down tomorrow, how would a person reach all of those people? They really don't. They don't have a method.
Yeah, I mean it's just this this machine that tells people that smoke screen. It's the music industry smoke screen. You got to look big. You got to look big. You got to look like you're doing all of these different things. You got to look like you got a lot of money when you don't. You're pretty much in debt. You got to look like you got a lot of people that follow you. So the whole idea of actually genuinely having real fans and selling just to those real fans is just like, what? That's a thing. So he talked about that. And he just talked about being able to text his fans too.
Correct.
Having that information to get in touch with people wherever he is and be able to say, hey, I'm in town, I'm doing a show, come through.
So I want to put something in everybody's head. When you first start to promote your song or your album on streaming media, meaning Spotify, Tidal, there's a certain budget that you have to spend in order to reach that base. Every time you drop an album or project, you shouldn't have to keep repaying to get those people. You should be reaching them the first time. Once you have them, you need to get their information, whether that be their email or their phone, right? And then make sure that when you drop your next project, then you just contact them directly. You shouldn't have to go through Instagram, Facebook, and any other social media platforms to reconnect to your audience. That's what you need to be doing all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's the antithesis of what they teach you in the music industry. They, first of all, they don't make the artist responsible for managing their audience. It's sort of like this, you're just going to blow up and we're going to make you blow up. You just go ahead and do the music. Well, the artists have to take on the responsibility of managing their audience. And they have to, because the fans are theirs. This whole idea of the record label doing stuff for you guys, that's not happening. It really wasn't before, because they always owned the fan information, or they always had the connection to the fan, and you didn't. You have to reconnect with your fan base. You have to build those relationships. And even if it means starting from the ground up, to build those genuine relationships, you got to be in front of your fans. When you're going to your shows, you need to be collecting fan data. You need to be selling, when you're selling tickets at your event, you need to be collecting the ticket information for the people who buy your ticket. Ticketmaster and Live Nation should not be collecting all your data, and you don't get your data.
Right. That is 100% correct.
Yeah.
All right. So props to Ryan Leslie. I actually met him a few years ago, and I did find him even then to be very, very intelligent. You know. All right. So my next clip, let's make sure I have it ready to play.
Are you going into your sponsor clip now, or are we going to go into another segment?
Let's go into our sponsor clip for the day. This is just giving, hold on one second, because we do not have the, we don't have something here. I'm looking for my notes. And I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Well, anyway, this episode of Tap In Tuesday is brought to you by our sponsor, Tapioca, the next innovation in music distribution.
We created technology that gives artists the freedom to release their music exclusively to their fans and keep 100% of the sales revenue with a simple tap. Independent artists take 100% of the risk and deserve 100% of the revenue. Streaming service payouts are pennies. Touring is taxing, and merch drops are a hit or miss. Tap into the next innovation in music distribution. Text more info to @Tapioca Music on Instagram.
All right.
Yes, indeed. That's the direct-to-fan solution right there. Exciting stuff happening with Tapioca. Yeah, I mean, it's just the idea of being able to have a physical connection with your audience again, I think is so important. Like I'm very much these days about really getting back in touch, making that connection. It's the anti-AI. Right? Where AI is artificial. It's all about getting back to our natural connections with one another. It's about building those real relationships in person with your fans and with your community. And that's really the only way that we're going to be able to, any of us, to sustain ourselves in any form or fashion in this new environment, is we have to be connected in real life, because technology is doing a whole number on us. Is it not?
It is crazy. It is crazy how technology, I mean, right now I'm going through something with Google Chrome. I use the incognito mode, but then the other day I saw that people are suing Google because that data was not private. Now, I'm under the assumption that if it says incognito, that means that I'm able to go to different sites without being traced, but they're actually been tracing my stuff. So I actually switched browsers today, which is why I'm another reason why I'm a little off, because I'm using the Brave browser. It was recommended
to me.
Brave browser. The Brave browser is supposed to be a browser that doesn't track your whereabouts, like just in life. And it also, the only thing I don't like about it is it has an ad blocker. I don't believe in ad blocking. I like ads, because that's the only way that these companies get paid. But a person should not be tracking my movements. The other day I was on a website. I stayed on that page for about 5 minutes, and 10 minutes later, I got an email stating that they had a new flavor for me to try. And I'm like, I didn't even sign up for your newsletter or anything like that. How did you get my email? So I've already, so I've written a complaint to that company as well.
I'm about to get me a VPN, V.
Yeah, I did get some recommendations on some VPNs. I'm definitely not going to be using that free Google VPN that comes with the Google One package, even though that's being discontinued next month. And I would have a feeling that that's probably why it's being discontinued. But
Mm-hmm.
we got a
Priest,
comment. Somebody is
priest forever.
commenting. Oh, Priest Forever. Oh, I know Priest Forever. Priest Forever is from the block. Here we go. Ryan Leslie had a great idea of using the CRM model to do
Direct to consumer.
direct to consumer sales. It seems like technology is starting to catch up now, finally. And yes, Priest Forever. We had just actually played the clip from Ryan Leslie. I don't know if you were here for that, but yes, definitely. Ryan Leslie is, as I said, he's very advanced. All right.
Yes, for those who don't know CRM, that's the customer relationship management. It's really about, you know, this whole thing with music. It's not about this glamorizing. This is a business, and you have customers, right? And the whole idea is to manage the workflow and the relationship you have with your customers, with your prospects, and with your leads. And be sure that you are retaining that relationship and building and growing on that relationship. We've got to kind of get out of this glamorizing music. It is a business, and certainly, it's for entertainment, but the real deal of people not making money and going broke, that's real life. And we need to really get serious about that as we move forward. So shout out, thank you for Priest for that. He said he peeped that video.
Felicia, there's a quote that you always quote about. It's kind of like the I guess the horror of music being for the wealthy or something to that effect.
Well, it was the musicians, Allied Musicians Alliance, Allied Musicians. It's an organization that represents musicians, and they
Mhm.
released a white paper last year that talked about how desperate the situation is really right now with recording artists, and they're basically saying that because of the streaming and what it's doing in terms of decimating sales, you know. We could wind up with a situation where the occupation of being a professional recording artist is actually something that only the wealthy will be able to enjoy because it's no longer something that everyone can participate in. It's sort of like you have to have money to be in the music industry because there's no income from the music industry. So it's so they specifically said as musicians' incomes continue to dwindle, it could regress from a viable occupation, meaning being a professional recording artist, to an amateur practice only the wealthy can enjoy. And that was the United Musicians and Allied Workers Association. And that, you look at what's happening with the labels and the consolidations and the layoffs. You look at what's happening with streaming, paying 003 cents. Bill Stephanie, who we all know, veteran in the music industry, bottom line, he said that, the music industry is leveraged by debt. Like all of this, this stuff you're seeing, this is all debt. It's not real. They're not making any money. And that's the reason why you see these guys out here at every festival. You can see one artist like back to back to back at festivals because the only way they're making money is performing. So they're actually doing what we do every day. If you go into a job, a 9-to-5 job, and you're trading your time for money, that's what they're doing right now. They're trading their time for money. Their music is no longer working for them in terms of generating income because streaming is dominant and physical sales are down. So, that's the situation we're in right now. What we got next?
All right. So next we have Vince Staples, and he's talking about the ramifications of all of these label consolidations. So I'm going to play a clip.
All it is independent labels and subsidiaries into each other, which means how we was kids, you got Rockefeller, you got Def Jam, you got all these things. None of them exist no more. They fired all the heads of the labels, and if they didn't, they turned them into glorified A&Rs. They cut off 50% of the people who work in all these departments. Most of those people is us, people of color that come from hip-hop and R&B and these other things, right? Then you got record labels opening up IPOs. You got record labels destroying their relationships with TikTok, Spotify, things that pay out artists because they want to start their own shit. So then we getting priced out of our contracts. We getting priced out of our imprints. There are no labels basically that are incentivized to sign black music. and it's happening in front of our eyes. And while Taylor Swift is fighting for people to be able to have streaming money, niggas is on the internet arguing with each other about some rap shit. So personally, I think we better than that. I think we deserve better than that because we've been saying for decades that we want people to respect black music and black art and black people. And I think for that to happen, we got to respect ourselves. And they don't make it easy for us, but we got to try to work a little bit harder at that.
All right. So we are back. And
Shout out to Vince Staples.
yes. Vince
Album
Staples.
dropping this Friday.
Yes, dropping this Friday, Dark Times. That's going to be his 6th album, and it comes out on May 24th. And if you haven't caught his Netflix special, it's pretty good. I saw one episode of it this morning, and I thought it was excellent. Let's talk about what he talked about. He said that small labels are joining together, which is causing, all these different labels are just coming together, and they're causing problems for musicians of color, primarily.
Well, they're consolidating because there's no money. Like it's really interesting because when you look, you're actually witnessing a massive shift in the music industry, which is alongside the massive shift in every industry. And it's really being precipitated by big tech. This has been coming a long time, but after COVID, it sped up. They sucked all of the, all of your fans, all your customers away into social media companies, into Google data, into, all of these different tech plays that pretty much sit in between the content creator or the actual owner of a product and their customer. And they're saying to customers, and it's funny because you can see it's what happened with Netflix and filmmakers. It's what happened, what's happening with Spotify and recording artists. And you can see it even places like DoorDash, what DoorDash is doing in restaurants. That's the reason why it costs so much to eat at a restaurant. That's the reason why you're paying fees on top of fees to get your food. The prices are higher because the restaurants are also paying DoorDash. And meanwhile, what happened back in the day, you used to call your restaurant directly, right? So the point of the matter is that there's a massive shift happening because of technology, and AI is now, making this thing so much faster. And I think that really people need to be in protectionist mode. We need to be really looking at, how do we stay connected?
Right.
Because all of these tech companies are basically positioning themselves to be brokers of our communication, brokers of our data, brokers of our finances, brokers of how we do whatever we do. We accept their services, right? DoorDash makes it simple for me to get my food. Well, you accept it, and now instead of going to the restaurant, you order from DoorDash. You don't even know Julie's Pizza or whoever's pizza shop anymore. Now Julie needs to pay DoorDash to reach you. So it's basically the same thing. And Vince Staples, I think that, I don't think that we should be not talking about Kendrick and Drake as opposed to, I think that we can be talking about everything. I don't think that one's more important than the other. I just kind of feel like they're just two different categories. I don't want to. That was exciting stuff that happened a couple of weeks ago.
It was exciting, but I think he's looking at it like the Drake and Kendrick situation doesn't affect your livelihood. Meanwhile, you have something here that does affect your livelihood, and the only person there were two things that happened during that time. There was the Taylor Swift fighting for streaming rights, and then there was Macklemore, who did a record about what's going on overseas. That no rapper has spoken on. So basically, I think what he was just saying was there are just a few more important things in life other than beefing or whatever. I mean, yes, we definitely needed to see that. We haven't seen that kind of Royal Rumble since maybe the Roxanne Wars. Everybody just took a side and just.
Come on, what are you talking about? What happened to Nas and Jay-Z? Come on.
Now, you know why I say it's different? Because Nas and Jay-Z was just Nas and Jay-Z, and it had a few little feature appearances. This was like Endgame. This was Thanos versus the Avengers. I mean, with Kendrick being Captain America and everybody else being Doctor Strange and the rest of them, and they just came together and just got rid of the Canadian rapper. Like, boom.
Oh, wow. But yeah, shout out to Vince Staples.
But you're gonna need that Canadian rapper when you go on your next date. You won't be able to be like, not like us. They don't like us.
But Vince is coming out this Friday. How's he releasing his music? Is he releasing it to streaming?
Of course, he's releasing it to streaming. Streaming. It's the way we got here originally to America, right? Streaming, just riding that stream, rowing that boat, slowly.
Yeah, people gotta people have to be intentional and get off the damn boat. I think that there's enough proof of concept out there now that you can do direct to fan. And I think that it really requires you to take a hard pivot and just be able to say, listen, I'm going to start from the bottom up. I'm going to start converting my followers into fans. And yes, I'm not going to have 20 million followers anymore. I'm going to be dedicating my time and my resources to these 10,000 fans. And that's going to be it. And no, you're not going to be, so popular because you're not getting that mainstream popularity, but who cares? It'd be great if Vince was actually directly releasing his stuff direct to fan.
I think we might have to do a course. This is something random, right? So this is not pre-planned, but maybe we need to do a course on how to convert your social media followers into direct followers, without somebody else coming in between to help you do that, because there's always that mechanism, right? So I think we need to put together something for people that want to know that. And we have another comment
from France. Bonjour, Mark Ulysse Roufling. Did I pronounce it right, Mark? Mark Ulysse Roufling. Anywho, yeah, Mark, what you doing out there in France? You look like I didn't know you wanted to be a part of this. Anyway, we're talking about direct to fan. So yeah, right. So let's support Vince. He comes with a lot of good stuff. So let's try to support him when he comes out on Friday.
Yes. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about the latest Spotify lawsuit. Pretty much they're getting sued. The lawsuit was filed in New York by the Mechanical Licensing Collective. And they're claiming that Spotify reclassified its paid subscription services. And the reclassification was done without advance notice. And it has serious financial consequences for songwriters and music publishers. And that's going to be leading to about a 50% reduction in royalty payments. For most artists. So if you were getting $1 before, you will probably be getting $2. You will be getting 50 cents now.
What's the mechanical license? Can you explain that? What's the mechanical license?
So mechanical license is when a person's music is being played outside of the studio, right? Like if it's getting played on radio, if it's in a movie, if the song is in a jukebox, if the song is in the elevator, if the song is in the gym. There's companies that actually collect that money. If your song is getting played in a club, you're supposed to be getting money from that. A club has to pay a license fee. Even a church has to pay a mechanical licensing fee for the music that it uses, right?
Okay.
Because they sing.
Okay, so this is the organization that collects these licensing fees from when you're in the gym or wherever, or Spotify, right, or whatever. Okay, so what it says in this article. Okay, so this happened March of this year. This organization said that Spotify had begun treating its premium plans as bundles rather than pure music subscriptions, right? And Spotify says this was because its premium subscriptions would now include 15 hours of audiobooks audiobook listening time as part of the subscription.
Right.
So the bundle would now be music plus audiobooks instead of just
Correct.
music.
Right.
And that under a 2022 agreement between music publishers and streaming, bundle services can pay out a lesser royalty rate than pure music subscriptions. Spotify, y'all are dastardly.
Well,
they basically created bundles. They basically try to figure out how do we pay artists less by essentially adding more stuff to it.
Right.
They don't have to pay as much for mechanical licenses.
Right. Now, according to, what I'm reading here is that they said that it paid a record amount of royalties last year and expects to pay even more in 2024. And when I read that, I said, okay, just because you paid a record amount of royalties doesn't mean that you paid what was owed. It just means that you paid a number, right? So, if you, it's kind of like, I cheated you last year, but I didn't cheat you that much. But don't worry, next year I'm going to pay you even more, even though I'm still cheating you. At the end of the day, it's sad that Spotify is, they cried last, we were talking about how they were talking about the Apple thing and they were upset. I think all these tech companies are trying to do things to cut their cost, and songwriters should not have their cuts cost. I mean, their cost cut. They wrote the songs, they produced the songs, they put the songs out there. And when you buy these bundles, like let's say a gym membership, there's a reason why you hear Pitbull in the gym, because the gym paid for a package that included Pitbull. That's what his publishing company is supposed to do. It's supposed to go out there and push his catalog into many different venues and such.
And the thing about it is Spotify is super dastardly, because if you think about it, what consumer, how much does Spotify subscription cost now? $14.99, something like that?
$14.99. And I think it's going up.
So for the consumer, right, they're like, oh, I get more in my $14.99, right? I'm getting audiobooks, right? But so it's sort of like pitting the consumer against the content creator.
Right.
Because, the consumer is not going to operate in their best interest and say, no, we feel like the content creator should be making more. Just give me music.
Right.
They should be, ideally they should be offering a music only option.
Mm-hmm.
But the consumer is not going to buy that anyway. Why would I take music only when I can get music and audiobooks?
Correct.
So it says that the lawsuit was filed in the federal court, asking the court to order Spotify to recalculate the royalties. And it says that Sony, for instance, said that they're getting 20% less, Sony Music Publishing before, and that MLC says it's losing almost 50% of what was generated before they made this change. So Spotify is pretty much continues to undercut content creators. And meanwhile, content creators are continuing to put their music on Spotify. People have got to the point, get to the point where they're going to draw a line in the sand.
Right.
And that's why tools like Tapioca, shout out to Tapioca. This is what it's for. You want to give fans streaming, at the same time, because fans want streaming. At the end of the day, we have to do what fans want.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to still be able to control your product. You want to be able to have that security so that your music is not pirated. You want to have a physical product to connect with people. You want to have music. You want to have video. And you want to have a closed platform. That's what Tapioca is. And that's what people need to be looking at, solutions like that, where, they say, you know what, it's great to be on Spotify. I'm going to use Spotify for marketing purposes. I'm going to throw up 30 seconds or 45 seconds or whatever of 2 tracks, but everything else I'm putting on Tapioca, or I'm putting on whatever platform where I'm going to be making money. And I think that that's what needs to happen. Artists need to really come together. I don't understand, with as many artists as there are, they need to be coming together and making a decision about what they're going to do. And I think the problem is, of course, there is no there's no leadership in the music industry right now. All of these different disparate labels,
Well, they're
artists are
trying to get
labels.
right. They're trying to get together a union for songwriters. I got my email the other day. Unfortunately, I don't write for major record labels, but they're trying to get a union together for songwriters so that they can go up against these giants and say, "Hey, what these deals that you're cutting should not affect my bottom line."
Mm-hmm.
You
Who is
know,
this? Isn't this organization a songwriting organization? National Music Publishers
um,
Association,
let me.
and also the organization that's suing them, the Mechanical Licensing Collective. I mean,
Yes.
so it seems like there are organizations, but I'm not hearing enough from the artists. Because I think that's the bottom line. They've got to be the ones hollering, and they got to be the ones standing together and really saying, this is what we're going to do, and this is not what we're not going to do. And I think that the problem is that the music industry is in such a mess right now that nobody knows what's going on, and there is no kind of central, force that's driving everything. Everybody's just kind of disparate.
Right. Well, one thing is clear. I finally understand what the Spotify logo is. Well, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but the Spotify logo is crooked.
It is a little crooked to the right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's crooked. Yeah, they're crooked.
Crooked
That's
Spotify.
just.
That's like BBL Drake.
Let me not incriminate myself. They actually did tilt the logo to the side to represent sound waves. They felt that putting it above the top actually represented NFC, so they moved it to the side to represent sound. But it's my little joke that it's crooked because they're crooked.
Artists, y'all need to get together. Y'all need to really get together, and especially the leading artists. I understand Taylor Swift is speaking out. But you all need to be able to get together and say, we're taking our asses off Spotify. But the problem is y'all don't own y'all's rights anyway. That's part of the problem. That's the main problem. You couldn't do it if you wanted to because the record labels own the rights. So it's a whole problem, y'all. But it released some exclusive music on Tapioca. How about that?
Exactly. Shout out to DULA who released a new single today. I love the way he did it. He sent out an email to his population of people that have purchased his album, and he let them know that he just uploaded a new album and some new artwork. The song is called "Take Me Now," and here we go. Hold it. There's a comment. Put up the comment. Mark says, "Full courage for all you people around the world. I thank you and love you very much, family of people around the world. Thank you."
All right, okay. Mark, it's pretty late out there. I don't know. Maybe you should call it a night. Isn't it like 6 hours ahead?
Right.
4 a.m., 3 a.m. Anyway. Right. All right. So I think that's it.
That's it for tonight. So
listen, guys, tap in next week.
2 weeks. We're doing Tapioca Tap. We're doing Tap In Tuesdays every 2 weeks.
Right. And
so make sure you follow us on Instagram, so you can get our little news tidbits throughout the week.
Yo, forget about following us on Instagram. They need to subscribe to our email newsletter because we don't want, listen, we want your direct information. Throw up that. So go to tapioca.com and sign up to get our updates.
Yes,
we want to have a direct relationship with you. No more social media platforms. No more big tech between me and you. Go to tapioca.com.
Right, there you go, right there.
For our mailing list and get all the updates. We got some exciting announcements coming down the road, so we definitely want to keep you guys posted. Thank you all for joining. I don't know who else is in the room. Shout them out if they're there, but thank everyone for being here tonight.
All right. We will see you in 2 weeks.
All right, guys. Peace. Thank you, Priest. Good night.